As everyone knows by now, Zika and dengue are conveyed by the same mosquito, the Aedes aegypti. Our key strategy for dengue control and now Zika is source reduction, the detection and removal of breeding habitats and larvae. This integrated vector management strategy is in line with the World Health Organization or WHO recommendations and remains especially critical now as we are in the traditional dengue peak season. Using a risk-based approach in NEA's vector control, our officers conduct preemptive checks and vector control efforts as precautionary measures in areas identified with high Aedes mosquito population. When a dengue or Zika cluster is identified, we intensify our source eradication efforts by partnering with the community and premise owners to eliminate mosquito breeding habitats. Fogging is also conducted to kill the mosquitoes as an additional measure to curtail the transmission of dengue or Zika quickly. Following the Zika outbreak, we have heard calls for fogging to be conducted at various residential estates. Currently, the NEA carries out indoor spraying of insecticides and outdoor fogging or misting to kill adult mosquitoes in the Zika clusters. This is the same thing we do in the dengue clusters. These measures are helpful in the clusters because they have infected adult mosquitoes, which must be destroyed before they bite and infect more people. However, it would not be wise to conduct fogging indiscriminately outside of the clusters as a preventive measure. Firstly, fogging is only effective if the chemical has direct contact with the mosquitoes. This means that fogging will have to be repeated frequently as new batches of mosquitoes continue to emerge from breeding habitats that are not removed. Routine fogging is not sustainable vector control measure. Secondly, the right chemical and sufficient number of fogging guns need to be deployed to achieve an effective kill. Thirdly, the overuse or indiscriminate use of chemical treatment may cause the buildup of resistance in the local mosquito population. Fogging should only be used when there are Zika or dengue clusters, or when the adult mosquito population observed to be high, so that we can mitigate the situation quickly. And again, I qualify, is only effective when worked together with source eradication. I just read an article in Economist where experts fighting the same Aedes aegypti mosquito in Florida have come to the same conclusion, that fogging on its own is not effective and that the only real solution is in fact boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. And this is the best way to destroy the breeding habitats. Given that this particular mosquito, the Aedes aegypti, likes to be around humans, live in crowded places, and lay eggs in clean water, the only way to mitigate the risk of dengue or Zika is to prevent the mosquito from emerging in the first place. Indeed, human blood is needed by the female Aedes mosquitoes to lay eggs and breed. They will go anywhere where there is human blood to feed on and water to breed their offspring. That is why our NEA's officers' boots have been on the ground for years to eradicate breeding spots in accessible and public areas. That is why we have to emphasize repeatedly that every household must also constantly do the necessary ground actions to remove potential breeding spots in their own homes where it is not easily accessible to our officers. Why does Singapore remain vulnerable? I would like to share that we remain vulnerable to dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases for a few reasons. Firstly, the dengue cases have been increasing globally. The WHO reported 2.2 million cases in 2010 and this number has increased to 3.2 million last year. Secondly, we are in a dengue endemic region, and there are 4 different dengue virus serotypes circulating concurrently. Historically, we notice a change in the predominant virus is usually followed by a spike in dengue cases. Thirdly, a large proportion of our population lack immunity to dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases as a result of intensive mosquito control in the past decades. In many other countries where dengue is endemic, the affected are often children. This is not the case in Singapore, which is good. Our success has, therefore and however, paradoxically lowered our herd immunity so that disease transmission occurs easily even with a very small mosquito population. Fourthly, our region's constantly warm climate and high humidity allow the mosquitoes to breed all year round. The warmer climate also supports faster breeding and maturation cycle of the mosquitoes, which contributes to a higher population and the spread of diseases. Finally, our high population density is very helpful to the breeding of the Aedes aegypti. This specific mosquito, like I mentioned, has adapted particularly well to our urban environment because it loves human beings as compared with animals, and likes to breed, mate, and feed near human dwellings. We must acknowledge that all these extraneous factors make it impossible to eliminate the Aedes aegypti here. Indeed, if we had done anything less, dengue and Zika would have spread throughout the whole island more quickly and thoroughly. Therefore, we are far from helpless and can do much to mitigate the risk. We have put in resources for surveillance. NEA has deployed about 37,000 gravity traps around Singapore, and this number will reach 48,000 by the end of the year. These gravity traps will allow us to identify areas with a large Aedes aegypti population and take targeted mosquito control measures proactively, even if there are no dengue or Zika cases. This sort of risk-based preventive surveillance work will go on well ahead of any peak transmission season. Inspections and enforcement have also been useful. Dr. Tan Wu Meng has asked for the number of site checks conducted by the NEA and the proportion of mosquito breeding habits found. Around 850 officers are deployed daily to do inspections island-wide. Between January and July this year, we conducted about 748,000 inspections. 638,000 of these inspections were in homes and 4,400 in construction sites. More than 10,000 breeding habits were destroyed during these inspections. About half were in homes and about 5% were in construction sites. Besides conducting preventive surveillance, we inspect all the premises and public areas within the cluster, conduct indoor spraying of insecticides and outdoor fogging to kill adult mosquitoes, as well as oiling of breeding habitats to kill any mosquito larvae. For the construction sites, we have stepped up enforcement actions and penalties over the years, in addition to imposing fines. In 1998, we passed the Control of Vectors and Pesticides Act, or CVPA, which allows us to impose Stop Works Order, SWO, for work sites repeatedly found with poor housekeeping and mosquito breeding habitats. The number of SWOs imposed on errant sites increased from 2013 as a result of a tightened regime. Between January and July this year, the NEA issued around 50 stop work orders, 410 notices to attend courts, and also proceeded with over 40 court prosecutions of errant contractors for repeat offenses. Since 1999, the NEA has required all construction sites exceeding $50 million in project value to employ full-time Environment Control Officers, or ECO, while sites between $10 to $50 million are required to employ part-time ones. There are now around 2,750 ECO to ensure good housekeeping and proper mosquito control measures in the construction sites all over Singapore. These combinations of measures, on-site ECO, outreach, inspections, fines, SWOs, they combine and has helped us to bring about a significant reduction in the percentage of inspected construction sites found with mosquito breeding, from 30% in the 1990s to 11% in 2013 to about 9% today. While the NEA has given attention to construction sites, I must reiterate that a large number of mosquito breeding sites is in fact still found in homes. Earlier this year, given the potentially large number of dengue cases, as well as the impending threat of Zika, the NEA renewed the call for everyone to safeguard our own home. Since 14 March 2016, NEA has taken enforcement action against all the homeowners found to have breeding, regardless of whether the homes are within the existing dengue clusters. 2,200 households were fined between January and July this year. While the current strategy has kept the mosquito population here low, we are exploring new methods to further tackle the mosquito problem. I recently announced plans to trial a novel method of suppressing the mosquito population through the release of male Aedes aegypti mosquitoes carrying Wolbachia to mate with the wild female Wolbachia-free Aedes mosquitoes. Eggs produced from the mating between male Wolbachia-carrying Aedes aegypti mosquito and a wild female Aedes aegypti mosquito will not hatch. The trial follows a 4-year intensive study and comprehensive risk assessments by our NEA's Environment Health Institute, EHI, and support shown by the WHO, the US, Australia, etc. From October 2016, male Wolbachia carrying Aedes aegypti mosquitoes will be released in 3 selected sites. If successful, this will complement our existing mosquito control efforts and eventually lead to the suppression of Aedes aegypti mosquito population and a possible curtailment of dengue or Zika transmission. That said, the Wolbachia technology is not a silver bullet. It will take some years before we can deploy it in scale, and with or without this kind of breakthrough, I want to stress that everyone must still continue with source reduction efforts. Actions after Zika outbreak. Our mosquito control strategy has helped us to suppress dengue over the years, and I will now address the questions raised by Mr. Christopher D'Souza, Mr. Dennis Tan, and Associate Professor Daniel Goh to show that this same strategy has prepared us well to tackle our Zika challenge now. Following MOH announcement of the first locally transmitted Zika case on 27 August 2016, we immediately alerted the 27 members of our Interagency Dengue Task Force, IADTF. Every day, around 300 NEA officers, contractors, and volunteers carry out vector control efforts and outreach in these clusters. As of 11 September 2016, more than 31,000 premises in the various Zika clusters have been inspected for mosquito breeding. More than 200 mosquito breedings have been detected and destroyed in the clusters. In the Zika clusters, thermal fogging outdoors and indoor spraying of premises have been carried out to kill adult mosquitoes, and the drains have been flushed to remove any stagnant water as an added precaution. At this point, I would like to thank the residents in the Zika clusters for the show of support and cooperation to our officers. They willingly opened up their homes for officers to do their inspections and helpfully pointed out areas of concern to them for action. Again, we need everyone to step up and forward to help take good care of our homes and neighborhoods so that we can all maintain good health. The NEA has also inspected the construction sites and workers' dormitories in the Zika clusters. A stop work order was issued to the construction site at Sims Drive on 27 August 2016 to curtail the local Zika transmission as the site had failed to maintain satisfactory housekeeping and to eliminate potential mosquito breeding habits. The NEA has in fact been working regularly with Singapore Contractors Association SCAL, and SMS MEWR recently met them again to drive home the point that their construction site supervisors would need to be more vigilant about mosquito control and to look out for any workers with Zika symptoms. With the threat of Zika, all SCAL members will be conducting mosquito wipeout exercises in their sites in the next few weeks. The NEA has also served CVPA orders to 4 dormitories to impose stricter requirements on them to maintain good housekeeping, check for mosquito breeding, clear stagnant water regularly, carry out thermal fogging if the mosquito population is high, and mandatory residual spraying in their premises on a quarterly basis. Communications is key in any public health situation. Together with MOH, we have provided updates of our efforts and actions through the daily media briefings. Up-to-date information on the Zika clusters has been put up on NEA website since last Wednesday. We have also engaged our community partners to conduct extensive outreach to the residents in the Zika clusters. Over the past 2 weekends, outreach activities supporting the Mosquito Wipeout movement against Zika were conducted all over Singapore to remove stagnant waters in common areas, dispose discarded receptacles properly, and distribute Zika information leaflets to the residents. Let me reiterate our gratitude for the support of the public and our partners and the many volunteers who have worked tirelessly with us. Madam Speaker, we are on the right track. Our strategy of rigorous mosquito control efforts and coordinated public education has been commended by the World Health Organization, WHO, and US Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. Everyone, the government agencies, premise owners, businesses, residents, the community, has a role in our fight against dengue and Zika. Homeowners, please do the mosquito wipeout. Contractors and dormitory operators, please maintain proper housekeeping. Town councils, please help eliminate potential breeding sites in the common areas and undertake fogging sensibly. It is our insurance against a widespread outbreak. Let's all continue together to keep our boots on the ground, keep calm, and carry on.